Well, all right. Hello and welcome to Tina and Karen Do the Tube. I am Karen.
And this is Tina.
All right, Tina. How are you doing this week?
I'm freezing my balls off right now.
I know. It's been an unexpectedly snowy, out of nowhere kind of season. No one saw this coming. It's amazing. Kind of like 2018, really.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a once in every 3 year snowfall in the Northwest here in the greater Seattle area.
But the funny thing is 2018 was once every decade sort of thing, and now it's 2 years later we have another one? Come on. All right. But, so anyways, so we have a very, very special guest on the Tina and Karen podcast today. To give you a short version, years before Tina and I ever started this podcast, we got our initial love for bullshitting about random nonsense at a community radio station in our hometown of Gig Harbor called KGHP. Tough Guys, Tina and Karen was the name of our show, back in the good old days when life was simple. Well, joining us tonight is perhaps the man most responsible for sparking Tina and my initial love for riffing about bullshit while on the air. And I can say those words because this is a podcast and not live radio. He was the station manager of KGHP back when we knew him, but today he's moved on from representing the radio station of our hometown to representing the citizens of our hometown. That's right, he currently sits in position 7 council member of the city of Gig Harbor, and he's here to talk to us tonight about his life, radio, the importance of community, and all things pertaining to Gig Harbor and city government. His name is Spencer Abersold, but we know him better as the Walrus. Walrus, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be rejoining with you guys again.
This is good. I missed you.
Yeah.
I really did.
We missed you too, Walrus. I think last time I saw you was Thanksgiving Eve, maybe at like one of the random bars that all the kids go to.
How you hee.
Maybe 7 Seas, somewhere in there. Surprisingly, not the Tides.
Oh, yeah. That's actually true because Walrus got you one of your first jobs. He got me my first job, so very impactful in our lives.
Yeah. Couldn't say I'd be where I am without you.
What was it?
What was the job?
Oh, you got me a job at the Galaxy Theater, and you got Martin a job at, Tina a job at not 7 Seas. What is it?
Tides Tavern.
Tides Tavern, of course.
The deckhand.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Great. So let's get started. Tell us the brief story of you. In a minute or two, tell us sort of your story of where you were to where you are now.
I was born and raised in Gig Harbor. I spent the first 5 years of my life on Willatchit Bay, right on the waterfront. And then my family and I moved to the house in Gig Harbor up on Soundview. I went to elementary, middle, and high school here. And then went off to college. I did 2 years at Evergreen State College and then a year at Central. And then I came home and did TCC and started working at the Tides Tavern in the kitchen. And then from the Tides, what did I do? I guess I was at the Tides. No. At some point between the Tides, I guess I quit the Tides and went to Anthony's. Got fired from that. I was only there for like 2 or 3 months. And got into real estate. That's right. I was in real estate with my folks. And then...
Hold on. Was that before the 2008 crash? Just before? Or was that long before?
Yeah, no. It was probably like 2002. I don't know. Somewhere around there. And I started out as a volunteer DJ at the station. And I don't remember how I kind of walked into that. I think maybe I knew Mr. Smith somehow. And just said, is there a spot open? And he said, yeah. And so I got into that. I did a show called Hands Free Music, Walrus, because the idea was you didn't have to touch the radio dial. I was going to cue it up and change it up and make it all fun. And I really enjoyed it. I did that for about 3 years. And wanted to do more with the station. And so then at one point, Leland said that he was going to step down as a station manager. And he said, why don't you throw your hat in the ring and I'll get a good word in for you. So I applied for the position. And that's about when I walked into your guys' life. or I should say, maybe you guys watch my life, we connected. And it's been, I think, 19 or 20 years doing that.
Holy hell!
And all the things
That's
do it.
I just felt old for a second.
Right. And then about 4 years ago, I was asked to run for city council. And so I did that and got elected. And now I've got another election this year. I'll run again. If I get elected, we'll see. But that, I think, pretty much puts me where I'm at now, here on this bench out in the cold and the snow in this beautiful Gig Harbor, talking to my old friends.
All right.
Hey.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be able to join us again for a future podcast, not as an interview, but just as because we like to bring people back on just to talk about stuff, whatever. Usually the first show we like to interview them for our audience sake. All
Can
12.
the audiences, are they hearing me or are they seeing me?
No. We got 12 listeners and they barely tune in.
Yeah. It's the most loyal listeners.
We got a guy in Finland. That's what matters. We are really big in Finland. But no, I don't want to diminish like this role, because actually we're very happy you came on, and yeah, we're a small channel, we're a very small podcast, but hoping to grow.
A mighty oak begins with just an acorn.
That's right. That's right. That's good.
Look at the mustard seed.
What?
That's the Bible quote, I think.
I didn't know that. Okay, good for you guys. I remember, because, okay, this is a little off topic. I didn't have this written down, but I just want to reflect about this for a second, because Tina, Walrus took you on your 21 run back in Gig Harbor.
I still have the business cards he made for me with my my email and a picture of a handicapped guy puking.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you had a whole itinerary out for us. You kind of introduced us to the scene in Gig Harbor when we came of age.
Well, it's someone did that for me. I love you guys, and I want you guys to to have the knowledge. And so it was an opportunity for me to do that, and I took it, and we had a great time.
We did have a good time, but we got kicked out of a lot of bars before we even got in, really.
That happens.
It happened.
Yeah.
It happened.
Well,
I want to
the
call
story goes, I hadn't updated my license yet, and so I still had my learner's permit. I didn't know I had to, and so only select places would let me in.
But we win it.
Yeah, we went in.
Well,
we went into the old Seven Seas location before their grand new place, and we also did we go in the tides or not?
We went in the tides. That was one of the ones we got into. I think they knew you.
Yeah, and then I remember finishing the night at Mexican place where you did karaoke.
Well, is it El Pueblito? That wasn't. I don't think
it was
that.
for Uptown.
We did the karaoke. I remember that was at. What was that? Sunset?
The Sunset.
Yeah, it was Sunset.
Yeah, that was it.
But the one I remember most was I don't remember the name of it, but I remember it distinctly because we actually, knowing that your ID was bad, we got in and you got through the bouncer who had checked your ID. And this is the best part. He let you through, and you gave me this big smile with a thumbs up, and the bouncer had to stop you and say, hold on, let me see that again. And then we got kicked out. Way to go. All right.
Classic.
That's not what we brought Walrus on, but it's nice to reminisce about all times, because this is actually kind of coming full circle, because the very first guest we ever brought on the Tina and Karen podcast was Benzagala.
Oh,
yeah. Have you talked with him much?
no, not so much. I mean, it's kind of like with you guys. I'm just kind of out there, and if you guys contact me, I'm available, but I'm not out reaching out to people.
Nah, that's a shame. Well, Benzagala has lived a pretty interesting life since back when we were all together.
I followed him on Facebook. He's married, and he's been working broadcasting and doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. He was a sportscaster in Fargo when I interviewed him. No, it's not a joke. It's what he was. He was doing for, I think, a hockey team when I was interviewing him.
Yeah, he really does love it.
Well, yeah, but he was homeless at 2 points in his life. So talk about like a, triumph of the human spirit.
Right.
Right. But anyways, I wanted to talk to you more about your thoughts about this. So let's start out small. Let's get the really basics. Where did you get the nickname the Walrus?
Walrus. Okay. Question. So, when I drink, if there's a body of water, odds are good I'm gonna go swimming. And so I was out in Allen at one of my buddies' house, and it was like summertime, and it was kind of like, I don't know, it's probably either my freshman or my sophomore year of college. And of course, we're all sitting around the bonfire outside drinking. It's like night, and I said, "Okay, I'm going swimming." So I strip off all my clothes and go swimming. And I come out of the water, and they're all standing there by the fire. And one of them, I don't know who said it, but I heard, "Oh my God, he looks like a walrus." Like 11 people all said, "A walrus," and that was kind of it.
Did you take it as a compliment?
I'm sorry?
Did you take it as a compliment?
I was a little heavier then, so I figured it was something to do with my weight.
Okay.
And at first I don't know if I really liked it or not, but I certainly have adopted it, so it's like stuck with it.
Do you
Put it on
still?
cards.
This is a good question. Are you still the station manager at KGHP, or did you have to give that up when you became the council member?
No, I'm still there.
Oh, great. Good news. So, do you prefer being called Walrus, or like when you're doing it's actually kind of a silly question, but like I'm going to call you Walrus for the duration of this interview, but is it
my
weird?
closest friends call me Walrus, city council people. I'm Spencer Abersold.
Okay.
You got to wear two different hats when you're doing two different things. Not to say that when I was running for council, they were like, "You got to promote this Walrus thing. Everyone loves it. So you got to be the Walrus." Well, want that, but
I would love to see a political sign on my lawn that says Walrus, not Spencer Abbott, just Walrus. That'd be great.
That's who I feel I am. I feel like I'm more the Walrus than I am Spencer Abbott.
Did you feel like you had to change your persona at all when you got elected to city council? Did you try and like straighten up, or?
I definitely feel. Are you there?
Yep.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. I definitely feel more conscious about making mistakes. You don't want to disappoint people who put their support behind you. And it's kind of like with being with the station. You want to do good, and you don't want to do bad. You don't want to fuck up. And when you do fuck up, you got to think about what you did and question yourself. And there are definitely times when you do, because everyone's human and no one's perfect, and no one is. In city council, you're representing the will of the people, and the will of the people isn't exactly 50-50 or 100% in the same direction all the time. And so interpreting what people want on different issues can be tough. But fortunately, people aren't afraid to reach out and contact me and send me emails or call me, or I'll read Facebook posts and the newspapers, and just kind of get a general feel of where the conversation goes. How many people are pro one way or against it for that, and you just try to decipher that and hope your interpretations are correct.
Yeah. Do you find it kind of harder to gauge like what the community vibe is, now during like the pandemic, when you can't always go up, to groups of people?
Well, I would have one-on-one conversations with people. I would definitely go and meet with them and go to their house and talk with them for certain. That's probably not happening now. But the emails and the phone calls, that was predominantly how people communicate. You still had, you had at the council meetings, you had the public were coming and speaking for public comment, and they still have that opportunity with doing video conferencing and things like that. So I wouldn't say that it's hindered in any way. But as far as pandemic goes, I think everyone's kind of leans in the same direction. They want this thing over. They want you to do whatever you can to make lives as easier and simpler, cut through as much red tape as you possibly can get. Of course, there's a lot of red tape with restrictions and stuff like that, but just do what you can for, it's mostly small businesses here in Gig Harbor. We got a couple of big box stores, but for the most part, it's all people that you know and who are neighbors and live here who've got their little mom and pop store or their little hobby shop or the Tides Tavern or whatever.
Yeah. They're certainly not complaining about traffic as much now, are they?
No, they certainly do not.
All right,
I just noticed that was one of the biggest issues when I was reading up on your 2017 election.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an issue again. There's still people moving to Gig Harbor, and so for every household, if it's some husband and a wife or a couple, that's 2 cars guaranteed. And then if they have a kid, that's a 3rd car. And if they have 2 kids, that's 4 cars. And so for every household, you can think 4 cars are now on the road, taking up space, taking up parking spots. And you add 1,000 households a year. Just continue to grow. And that's just in the city of Gig Harbor. So the city of Gig Harbor is a population of 10,000 people who live here. During the daytime, it jumps up to 20,000 people because everyone from outside of the city limits comes into Gig Harbor to do their shopping and whatnot, all the Fox Island and Key Peninsula and Artendale and Rosedale and all that stuff. And then it goes at night back down to its population number. But so it doubles in size every day.
Wow.
And it goes back to its regular population.
There's a lot of tremendous growth in Gig Harbor right now. Looking at the numbers, back in 2010, the estimated population was 7,000, roughly, and as of 2019, the closest estimate was about 11,000. That's more than 50% growth in about 10 years. So I imagine that the traffic would be a problem. But back in 2017, you kind of ran on the same ticket as the now mayor, Kit Kuhn. And he won by a substantial margin.
72%, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So, and not only that, but you had 5 other 5 out of 8 positions were new faces, you being one of them. What do you think was frustrating Gig Harbor citizens the most, as that they weren't happy with the status quo?
Well, I think what the main trigger was 2 issues. It was the deforestation and development of the top of Peacock Hill. That was just shocking. When all these trees came down and this neighborhood came up, people weren't expecting that, and they were floored. And they said that was the final straw. That is overdevelopment. We don't want all that here. And our city government is not listening to us. And then the second issue, which is I think the wave that I rode, was they were going to develop the trees, which we call now Soundview Forest. They were going to make it into a housing development or condos right down there by the Tides Tavern. And they were going to cut down these pristine trees that, as you come into Gig Harbor, still stand and are still kind of define the character of this town in a little. And people were like, no, that's not going to happen. So we campaigned on, managing growth instead of what we felt was just allowing it to go uncontrolled and, overdevelopment. And, that was it. And then plus I wasn't really running against an incumbent. So none of the incumbents were running. So it was just me and my opponent was Randy Mueller. And he was retired. He's a good guy. I was saying that, I'll support Randy if he gets elected. And he actually said a couple times that he was actually thinking about voting for me. So I think that kind of helped me.
It wasn't a heated battle.
No, not at all. We were very complimentary to each other. There was no back and forth of, because we had no record to stand on. Can't point out to what we had voted on because we've never voted before, other than maybe president and local elections.
Do you find that people kind of in city government kind of get along a lot better, or is it still kind of just as divisive as,
It's the same. It's just people. So whatever relationships everybody has is what you're experiencing. It just depends on the personality, who you're dealing with. There's 7 council and 1 mayor, and I've seen people be very friendly to each other. I've seen people want to, cut throats.
Really?
It depends on the topic, but people get very passionate. Of course, some people, again, it's the interpretation of the public's will, and so it's who you're kind of listening to, and who's in your ear, influencing you, and that's not always. Everyone's not always, 100% in favor of something.
Mm-hmm. Do you find there's not a lot of like corporate influence,
Well, no, there absolutely is, but we try to, I try to fight it.
Can you give me any examples?
Certainly. So, we were going to vote on this a couple years ago. We were voting on what they call the traffic impact fees, which is called the TIF. And what that is when they put in a new home, the developer has to pay a certain amount of money to go to roads and sidewalks to develop those so the cities don't have to. And the current price for each home, any new home construction in Gig Harbor, was like $1,200, on $500,000 homes in the upwards. And that limit had not been raised in like 20 years. And so we said, we got to raise that because, again, let's say you lived in a neighborhood here that's been here since the 1980s, okay? Mm-hmm. And your neighborhood around you might have been a patch of woods or, whatever. But over the last 20 years, those trees all came down and the neighborhoods came up around you. You still don't have sidewalks, whereas most of the citizens in this town, somewhere along the way, have sidewalks that they can walk on, but you don't. All these neighbors now are also tapping into your sewer and your water supply and putting strains on that, maybe clogging it up with, whatever that they flush down the toilet.
Illegal drugs, yeah.
And again, you want to see your neighborhood develop like the rest of the town. You've been a taxpayer for 30 years, and so you want that to happen. Well, so a development company that builds homes and things, I won't say their name, but that was going to cost them millions of dollars if we increased that fee. And so they were very much against that. And they lobbied the heck out of us with citizens, having them write us letters saying, don't raise the fees. And
wow.
If it's going to do all these terrible, terrible things. But, those things weren't really related. I mean, yes, okay, there was going to be a side effect to doing this. And that's just, we could have gone to $10,000. We could have gone to $5,000. But we decided to go to $5,000 because that was what was viable. And we got sued. And we were in a lawsuit. I believe we've settled it, but we may actually still be in it because I think they didn't hold up their end of things. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of influence from people with money, and absolutely, you just gotta, you gotta remember who you are and what you're there to do. You're not there to represent Costco. You're there to represent the person that lives at 1209 Harborview Drive.
Without saying any names, do you feel like some members of the city council might be easier swayed by these lobbyists?
I can't say for sure because I don't know what's in people's hearts when they vote.
Okay.
Or in their minds.
All right.
And I don't try to interpret, what people are voting. I figure they have a reason for what they're doing, and I may not agree with it, and that's fine. It's up to the citizens to decide whether they want that person to remain in office when the next election comes up, or if they feel that they're doing a good job and they should stay in office. And so it's still the people, and I'm completely happy with whoever they choose. I'll work with them.
So as a city council member, you feel like that you have to represent the views of the citizenry, not necessarily yourself. So what happens when you have to What happens when you disagree with the people who you're representing? What do you would do in that
I
case?
don't. Well, okay, so I never vote for what I think. I've disagreed personally with the way I vote, knowing that if I was a private citizen, would not vote that way. Like the plastic bag ban is a perfect example. I was like, I don't support this. I think it's silly, but I heard from enough citizens to tell me that they wanted that thing to pass, and so I voted for it. Because that's what I was elected to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. I wish larger scale government was more like that. Great.
When I think about like corporate influence on Gig Harbor, I always think about the infamous Walmart that they tried to install right in the middle in the WalmartSucks.com, era of Gig Harbor and all that. And I'm just glad that we still have people in the community and council members like you that support keeping the community in mind and not just cowing towards whatever.
I don't believe that there's anyone coming in to any of the council people and saying, here's a briefcase full of cash for this way.
Right, of course, yeah.
That doesn't, if that happens, no one's approached me ever, and I've never heard.
Otherwise,
say,
we wouldn't be talking to you because you're a
that this person's just got like a new Mercedes.
I wouldn't blame you.
But people will definitely they'll put pressure on you. They'll be like, we can get 1,000 people to write letters to you, and to have your name be known as you're now public enemy number one as far as they're concerned, and 1,000 votes can swing an election in this town.
That's true. Yeah, you were elected 1,700 to 1,200 votes, right?
I think it was like 40 to 50% or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but we were close.
Yeah. Do you know who you're running against this year?
I don't. We won't know until March 17th is when the first day that you declare. And then you have a week to, or whoever wants to run has a week, and then it's official. And if there's more than one or two people, then we go to what they call the primaries. So it's kind of like a three-person race, and from there, two people are selected to run in the election in November.
So there is an article from the News Tribune dated December 22nd, 2020, not all that long ago. It talked about the overall morale problem among city employees who feel management doesn't listen to them. And in this, in the Kuhn administration, that 20 city employees have left. What are your thoughts about Kuhn's leadership styles, and what do you think might be the cause of that morale problem? And do you think this might be a problem for re-election time?
Well, negative publicity is always a problem for re-election time. If he decides to run or not, I don't know if he will or not. As far as, I guess, the city council is concerned, from my position, the mayor is in charge of running the city. The council votes and approves his budgets, and we don't have the power to, tell an employee what to do or hire or fire an employee. We're not there to do that. That's what the mayor's for. And so, our investigations and everything, I thought were, quite frankly, crossing the line as far as what we're elected to do. Now, if the mayor has issues with people, that's unfortunate. You don't want to have people unhappy, but, I can't say that there's any business that has a boss, I'm sure some people have bosses that they like, but I think it's quite common that you'll find employees who are dissatisfied with their bosses, especially in a city government type of situation, because every 4 years potentially you have a new boss who's elected, and that new boss didn't get hired by, like, say, a board of directors who did a qualification check on this person and made sure they're qualified to do the job, make sure that they have the knowledge and understanding of all the engineering and all the necessary things you need to know to run a small business or a small government. the citizens just put you in, and you can be a station manager of a radio station and have no knowledge of what is expected that you need to know. And that must be very frustrating for someone who went to college, got a degree, is getting paid top dollar as an engineer or a parks manager, and that I would think there's probably a lot of turnover in government employees.
Do you think there's ample participation within the city government, just as far as like the number of people running and the number of secretaries and employees and everything getting done, or at least within Gig Harbor?
Like staff wise, or can you clarify the question a little bit more?
Maybe, probably more towards like participation and like getting like the right candidate, elected. Just because I know like over near Edmonds where I live, the mayor over there has been running unopposed for like 20 years.
Well, then that person must be very well liked, because obviously no one decides that they want to counter, throw up a counter argument against him, or say, hey, I can do it better, or as making the argument that we need someone else in the job because we're not happy. I mean, that tells me that there's a lot of satisfaction.
Maybe even between like
family,
like older and like younger generations, because I think from what I can tell, you're one of the younger council members, right? And
I probably am at this point, but when I came on, we had Spencer Hutchins, who's a couple years younger than I am. Mike Perot and I or he's no longer on council, but he and I are very close in age. I think maybe I'm a year or two older than he is. And before that, we had I can't think of his name, but we had a younger guy on council. It's a pretty well mix, except for, of course, like any kind of real minority representation. It's basically all white people, male and female.
Gotcha.
That represents the demographics of Gig Harbor, though, because I remember my high school was about 90% white. But
yeah.
Okay. Something that I found interesting, and it goes back to what you were talking about in terms of changing your boss. Your boss changes every 4 years. I found an article.
Potentially.
Yeah, exactly. I found an article talking about Gig Harbor potentially changing to a council manager form of local government, and that you were actually on the side of a vote that canceled a debate about switching to a council manager form of local government in favor of a strong mayor form of government. And for clarification, strong mayor is essentially the mayor is the executive branch of your local government, and in a council manager, like in my city of Tacoma, the council serves as sort of the executive branch, but it elects a manager to run the day-to-day affairs. Can you explain your thought process in behind why you voted against the council manager debate?
Yes, well, I personally was in favor of having citizens elect the mayor, but I also had enough people reaching out to me telling me that they wanted to continue to choose their mayor and not have the count to have 7 people decide who mayor is. So in that, I agreed with the people that were reaching out to me. There was more numbers that were in favor of keeping it the way we have it than there were that were contacting me about the strong mayor or the council mayor thing. So I felt justified in this.
All right.
But I feel it would be like, the senators and the House and the Senate picking the president and not the people.
Right.
And I don't feel comfortable with that.
No, that makes perfect sense. And just so you know, I'm only asking the question. Actually, I agree with you that if the people chose a mayor because they wanted that mayor to run things, that mayor should run things. I live in Tacoma. I'm not necessarily in favor of our city manager half the time. So, yeah, just clarification there. All right. So you said you're up for re-election this year. So how do you feel going forward? about that re-election?
Well, I feel confident enough. I don't feel I've humiliated myself enough that I should be ashamed of what I've done. I should go cower. I feel that at least I've earned the right to give myself the opportunity to serve again, and it's up to the will of the people whether they want me to. So I don't like to say, I get an A or an F or a B or a C. That's not for me to judge. Public who decides that for me. And if they feel that I'm, a B student and they want me to continue on, I will. If they don't, I'll go back to just being the Walrus at the station. And I'm kind of happy. I'll be happy just doing that.
Speaking of KGHP, how's KGHP been doing during this virtual school year?
Well, I think we've been really being utilized a lot. Not a lot more, but of course, more for, I think, the reasons that we were kind of created, the disaster and emergency relief and information. We've been doing helping out with small bands who were doing a small business relief concerts virtually. We're plugging into their video feed and broadcasting that audio, so expand the audience. And we were doing some stuff with students, and of course we're giving out all the local news that's just pertinent to this area, like where you can go get a COVID shot, or for the storm right now, we're doing warming shelters where those locations are at, and telling people not to, or to watch where they're walking when they're underneath trees, and beware power lines that are down, and that straight standard PSA kind of stuff.
Yeah, just having to ship, because that's probably the more important role, is or intended role of the radio. That
can be life or death. Everything else is it's important to have kids or students have the opportunities that you guys had, because now you're taking that love that you had and that passion that you guys had in high school, and you're doing it in real life, and that's totally cool.
Yeah.
So there's that reason too, and I can't say that one is more important than the other, but of course, hopefully you don't have to do the emergency disaster stuff as much as you're.
No, we just bullshit about nonsense, as I said in my intro.
Well, one day we may attempt a world record on the air. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask about that. So, reminiscing about old times. So, last time we had major contact with you, it's been years, and I'm sorry for that. People drift apart, but God knows I love you. You were actually going for a world... people drift apart. But you were going for a world record in terms of the continuous broadcast by a radio DJ, and you actually had a film crew documenting that. And I just wanted to ask you, what do you remember most from that time when you were going for that record?
I remember a lot of things. Those 9 days were huge. There's probably a lot I don't remember, because you go 9 days without sleep, your brain is pretty much jello. But I just have memories, kind of maybe take something to trigger a flashback. But I remember driving in, and you were at the station, and you're playing the music, I think, from what's your Sierra Leone's music?
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm glad you remember that.
You had to pretty much get in the car and go off to Wazoo or something.
Yeah, I do remember, I was actually the last DJ before you started your attempt. I was just playing songs. And then the last song, I know you requested me to play this, and I remember it very vividly. It was the theme song to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly from Ennio Morricone. Because you said that's... Yeah. And it was at high noon. You said all good duels start at high noon. And man, I played that song, and I saw you walk into the station. I thought it was the coolest thing. And then, I went back to WSU because I was going to college there. But I took my first weekend off. I had to drive back to the state because that was when you would be declared the record holder.
Okay.
Do you remember around that time, what after 9 days on the air, what was maybe your mindset? Is it all like a blur, or Do you vividly
No,
remember?
I can remember the last song I played, and I can remember walking out into the classroom, and there was a bunch of people there, and I was kind of going through a lot of emotional stuff with my friend who was there filming, who was kind of upsetting me.
Oh, really?
He was taking it seriously.
What happened there?
Well, he was telling me that I should quit and that, I'm not going to make it. And,
what?
That's a terrible thing to
I was
say
just
to
like,
someone.
well, I'm gonna. And so, I don't know if you know, he kind of left.
I don't know.
Like on the seventh day.
Oh, man.
And so I was just like, okay, well, I have to do this because, these people are important to me. And so if you're not going to support me, that's fine.
Oh, man.
Appreciate it.
I'm sorry to bring that up. I didn't know that. I really genuinely didn't know that was a conversation you had with your friend.
Yeah, well, we did our best to keep it hidden.
Do you have any kind of like reflections on it? How you would do it differently, or if you do it again, or?
No, I would do it any differently. I think it was perfect. It was a beautiful experience, and I think everyone that was involved had a great time, other than maybe my friend.
Man.
But it was a magical moment, and I don't know how it came about, how it got pulled off so well. I think it just had to do with a lot of people believed in the station and wanted it to succeed.
I do remember vividly, though, that after driving 350 miles, I got to be the one who announced that you were actually officially the record holder, and you gave me a hug, but you hadn't showered in 9 days, so it was a bit of a greasy hug.
I'm glad that was you.
Oh, God, I am too. I was glad I was there for that moment. But going back to KGHP a little bit, is Mr. Smith still there? Is he still running the station?
Yes.
Oh.
He still is a teacher.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have much to do with the station.
Oh, no, but he still runs the class because the other question I was going to ask about, because I read, unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunate because I haven't listened to the guy. Maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but the police chief of Gig Harbor is actually doing the basketball team.
He's doing our broadcast for the basketball games.
I know.
He doesn't do the.
He doesn't do
the announcing in the gym like Leland still does that.
Right, but I remember vividly. Back in the day, me and Benzie doing the broadcasts. Is it something to do with is he a really particularly good broadcaster and there's no one interested? Because I would love for that to go to another high school student who had the interest in it, because God, some of my best memories in my life are with Benzie up in that booth calling the basketball game, because we had a lot of fun. It has nothing to do with what we actually accomplished. We actually did go to the state tournament. We were broadcasting on the side of the Key Arena. You, me, and Benzie, the three of us. It was amazing. But at the same time, I want that experience to go to the students. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you want to see students more involved in the broadcasting?
Oh, I would love it, but I've developed relationships now with people who've been doing this for 10 or 15 years, and so I can't just say, okay, some kids want to do it now. The thing is you guys are like lightning in a jar. You're unique, and it doesn't happen every year. But the show must go on, and so if you found someone who had your guys' spark, and not to say that they aren't there, they are, but they're going to be there for a couple of years and then they're going to go, and you're always trying to then replace that spark, and that's not hard or not easy. So when you have talent, you stick with it, and I guess it's unfortunate that students aren't able to do it, but I still have students who are filming and who are involved, and I pay them. Didn't pay you guys.
Oh my God! Whoa! Hold the phone here. I could have got paid.
So there's that benefit. There was a lot of years where I'd get a couple students, and all of a sudden mom tells me I can't do it tonight, or I'm going out to a party, and you're like, it's 6:30. You're telling me this now? What am I supposed to do? People want to hear this game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And with the adults, that doesn't happen.
That's true. I mean, if I ever got Benzie back in this area, I would love to just rejoin with him up there in that booth. Some of the best moments of my life. God, it doesn't matter where we go from there. Benzie has gone on to do a sportscasting in North Dakota. Good for him. I've gone on to host a podcast with my friend and former KGHP compadre, who we have 12 subscribers. God damn, we believe in him. but I mean, reflecting on it all, man, that was some good times. I mean, really was. I mean, I'm glad we were able to do this podcast, Walrus, because I'm getting kind of emotional right now, really, because it's bringing
let the tears flow. I mean, that's what the audience wants to hear.
Yeah, I know. It's just the fact I know that you've moved. We've all moved on. Martin here.
Moved on. I don't feel like I've moved on.
Really?
He's only moving up.
Yeah.
I feel like I am right where I want to be and right where I belong, and doing what I feel like I should be doing. I mean, it feels right. And I don't know what you guys are doing other than this podcast, but I would assume that you guys are still talking to each other. Things are okay in your life.
Probably more than ever.
Yeah, at least the podcast actually helps us. We get to go over the week's events and just bullshit about them. That's really all it's about.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if you had any questions for us.
Well, I've got a ton of questions, but what do you think? What's the future look like? What's your outlook on How old are you guys now?
We're fucking 31 now.
31 and 30.
Oh man.
31 and 30. Okay.
You're 31.
So you're out of your 20s.
Oh man.
You're into your 30s. What's the world looking like for you guys?
Oh, you want to take this first, Tina?
Sure. My life's pretty great, I'm a business owner / business partner, and in my own business, and just saving up money, just trying to get a house here, maybe next 5 years. I don't know when, but don't feel any real pressure to buy. It's just whenever the deal seems right or the time. So
you have goals and you feel that they're attainable.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Chet, what about you?
Me?
Yep. Or should I say, who are we? Are you Karen?
I'm Karen, yeah. Let's keep it all official, Well, I mean, I'm married.
What? What?
I know.
You should hear this story.
When did that happen?
I didn't have a wedding, so that's why you weren't there. Okay, so just...
Thank God, because I was going to say, was I there?
No, I wasn't even there.
No.
Okay.
My wedding was really just my dad, my grandma, and the court judge. That was it, so...
I love it.
Yeah.
You got her knocked up, didn't you?
Oh, God. Thank God not that. No. So my wife, she's I met her online, and this is the kicker. She's Venezuelan. She's not from here.
That's fine.
That's fine. Yes, I know it's fine. But so now we're living together. We've been married since January 6th, 19. Why did I start with 19? It's so fucking. It's in my head that I have to start old dates with 19. 2020. January 6th, 2020, we got married. Year. Yeah. We got our 1 year and 1 month anniversary. We're about like that. We just started dating, and I love her, and I have a house here in Parkland. I have a very, what would you say, not basic but simple life.
What's her name?
What?
What's her name?
Oh, she doesn't have a name. She's like Cher. It's more of a enigma, but no, it's she's Mary.
She's Mary.
Yeah.
She speaks better English than Tina too, or Karen.
She's
Probably me too. Yeah.
No.
actually.
I always make this joke whenever I can. She speaks better English than Spanish, because Venezuelans speak bastardized Spanish. But
I didn't know that was part of the joke.
No, it is, because she tells me all the time Venezuelans have a distinct accent and dialect for Spanish that, like, it's unique to the rest of the Spanish-speaking world. Like, Mexicans, Colombians, Ecuadorians, Panamanians, I don't know, they all know a Venezuelan when they hear them. They speak, it's like the South, really. Like, when you hear a Southern person talk, you know he's from the South because it's a bastardized English. But yeah, I got married last year, and I've never been happier.
That's awesome. I'm happy for you.
I know. Man, I miss you, Walrus. I really do.
Long health and happiness.
I'm hoping that when this pandemic's over, the three of us can go out and have a couple beers in Gig Harbor.
I'd like to do that. Or I can come out to Parkland.
Parkland, yeah. We got, unfortunately, goddamn the pandemic. The only bar I frequented before the pandemic, the Hard Luck, it's like a block or two from my home. It's been closed down for good, unfortunately. I know.
Too bad.
Yeah, I know.
Definitely in the harbor. We have to redo my 21 run.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Speaking of love life, Walrus, how's yours been going?
Pretty dry.
Pretty dry.
Come on, you haven't been able to leverage that position?
Not a lot of free time for loving. Not to say I don't have my eye on a couple fillies, but putting the lasso on them. Plus, I'm not ready to settle down like Chet is.
God damn, man, I'm 31. I'm not that fucking old.
I'm with you, Walrus. I'm not ready to settle down yet either.
All right. I'm the old fuddy here, but it's been good reflecting about you guys. I'm hoping that next time we get the three of us on a podcast together, we're just bullshitting together, the three of us. You're not so much on the hot seat. But speaking of hot seat, Tina.
Our last segment?
Yeah. We like to end every guest with a hot seat. So
Love it.
All right. So the way this segment works is you have to answer a series of questions. Now, you don't have to answer. You can pass if you don't feel comfortable answering the question. But the whole thing is that this won't spark a further discussion. It's just answer the question and we move on. Fast pace. You can take your time to think. But there won't be any follow-up questions, essentially, right? So, these are questions you wouldn't normally be asked in day-to-day conversation.
Love it.
All right.
That's when I interviewed Ron Jeremy.
You did do that. I remember that now. God. I just remembered that he interviewed Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's definitely in the hot seat now. I think he's in jail or on trial right now.
Holy hell.
Now he's in jail.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm not totally surprised by that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so
okay, sure. Let's go. Let's hit it.
Walrus, are you ready for the hot seat?
I'm ready.
All right. What is something you know a lot about?
History.
What is something you don't know much about?
Oh, the law.
That's good from a politician.
No, I'm not a legal expert.
All right.
I got to rely on lawyers.
All right.
And I wish I knew more about the law.
Okay. If you go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Bora Bora.
Bora Bora. Wait. What is your favorite... What?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Bora Bora's near Tahiti.
What is your favorite sound?
Ooh, great question. Well, I would have to say the crack of a can of Coke.
Ooh.
Specifically Coke?
I'm sorry?
Specifically Coke?
Well, that's what I drink most of, and it's got that, when I'm opening it, I think it probably raises my heartbeat a little bit.
All right. If you had $1 million, what would you want to do first?
Just $1 million, I'd put it in the bank and try to live off the interest. It's only going to be $25,000 a year.
God damn you. That's so boring. God. It's responsible. It's
That's always going to be there.
It's responsible, but it's boring. Okay, moving on.
Hey, you can have a lot of fun with $25,000.
I bet you can.
Yeah.
What do you like to do to relax?
Go for walks.
All right. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes.
All right. If you had sex with a male celebrity, who would it be?
Have I or would I?
Excellent
Had
question.
to.
No. If you had to have sex with a male celebrity, who would it be?
Brad Pitt.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
That was quick.
No, it's the right answer, to be honest. All right.
A lot of people spend a lot of time on that question.
All right. What is wisdom?
Ooh. Experience.
What is love?
A good experience.
That's the wrong answer. Tina, tell him.
What's that?
Tina, tell him the correct answer.
Oh, I always forget.
For what is love?
I always forget, yeah.
Baby, don't hurt me.
I knew you were going there.
He
We've
knew
done
it
this so
too.
many times and I always forget the answer.
We do that that's literally the only question I think is in every single hot seat we do. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. That's the only answer.
I know, and
Oh my
it's
God.
like I'm on, 50 first dates.
All right, moving on. All right. Do you believe in free will?
I do, but I don't think people exercise it at all times, and it's not something you can. It's not just something that's there.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
All right. What is
Mason, right?
what?
I'm sorry.
You're a Mason, right?
Mason.
I was. The lodge closed up shop here in Gig Harbor and moved to Port Orchard, and I didn't join that lodge.
Oh.
Wait,
So
are-
that is a big part of being a Mason,
Do
right?
Masons have
Believing
to
in
do
a higher
Ma-
power.
Well, you got to
Really?
belong to a lodge to be technically legally in the order.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Do Masons have to believe in God in order to be a Mason?
Yeah, you have to believe in a god, not necessarily any specific one,
Oh, okay. All right.
but that there is a god.
All right.
You
That's
can't.
That's news to me. All right. Only a couple more. What is the most important thing to look for in a potential life partner?
That's an answer that is unique to everyone. There is no one answer.
That's a very political answer.
All right. If reincarnation exists, what would you like to be reincarnated as?
A walrus.
That was too easy. All right. And final question. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed, but I've been trying to do things with my left hand today. It's weird that you asked that.
All right. All right.
Where
Walrus,
to end it?
you've been through the hot seat.
I love it.
Oh, man.
Don't want it to end.
I'm sorry. I mean, it has to end because, unfortunately, people get
All good things to do.
People get hungry. I gotta cook my wife dinner. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed this, and I would love to have the opportunity to do it again if you guys ever are desperate and need someone to fill an hour
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
in your house.
No. We really actually we're trying to broaden our band of broaden the pool that we can draw upon. And you are now in that pool. So now we've interviewed you. Now next time you come on our show, we just want your opinion on certain stories. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of topics we can cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Tina, closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just hope to have you on again, and we'll still be doing this in a year or so when we have you back. And I'd more than anything, and hope to have a beer with you when this is all over.
I second that emotion.
I third it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, this is the reconnection. This is the starting point right here. All right.
2021's been pretty good so far.
2021, that's the year. I thought someone was going to say something there. All right. All right. For Tina and Karen, do the tube. I am Karen.
This is Tina, and
The Walrus.
The Walrus joining us. All right, so we love y'all. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and see you next week.
Peace.